Hey guys, just a little bit baffled at the moment, hoping some of you guys might be able to help me out. Was watching some videos of the front page of YouTube, and there was some American sports guy who was at some public place and said the word nigger! And it's caused a really big fuss, and there he is apologising and he's in a whole world of trouble. And I understand why words like nigger are offensive to people. Where I grew up in Australia, there's words that get used there. We're very multicultural there too, so you know, we've got Aboriginal people and Italian people and Greek people and people from Asia and people from all over the place. So there's lots of racist words there that only get used by racists. So I understand that, and you know, now I live in Japan, and there's words that other people use about Japanese people that are offensive that shouldn't be used either. And if they get used on my channel in the comments, they get deleted. So I understand the idea of the offensive words, you know, and I totally support the idea of not using them, because any word that a particular group of people find offensive, I think it's better that we don't use it, you know. But what's got me baffled is that I grew up 100 years ago when Eddie Murphy first did Delirious and was first on stage in his tight leather, orange leather suit, doing his Delirious stand-up, and Richard Pryor was doing his live on stand-up routines, and the word nigger was getting used all the time. And now, recently, I'm still a fan of Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor, but more recently I'm a fan of Chris Rock, and I don't mind listening to a bit of rap now and again. And what's got me baffled is what's the deal if a word is offensive and it offends that huge group of people, and it shouldn't be used. Why is it okay for one particular group of people to use it and not others? I think if you've got a word that's offensive and that you say that people shouldn't use it, then people shouldn't use it. To say that a word is highly offensive, and I mean, I've seen some of the dramas that have happened over the last few years with different people using that word. You know, news readers that have been fired for using it by accident, and you know, Michael Richards, the guy Kramer from Seinfeld, you know, suicided, absolutely professional suicide by using that word on stage, and he's screwed now, isn't he? He'll have a hard time getting a job in America now. So it's just baffling why it's okay for some people to use a word that's offensive and not other people. I don't get it. And I gather that carries over to cracker as well. So it's okay for me to say I'm a cracker, but it might not be okay for someone else who's not a cracker to say they're a cracker, which I don't find cracker offensive personally, but I know a lot of white people do, which means that me saying cracker should be as offensive to them as them saying cracker, surely. I don't get it. I don't get it. Why is it offensive when it's offensive when people who aren't that particular group say it, but when people who are in that particular group say it, it's not offensive? It's quite baffling, really. I think it's ridiculous. I think if we want to set a standard, let's set the standard for people. Otherwise it's discrimination, isn't it? And what about people who are half? What about people who are half nigger or half cracker? Hey, what if you're half nigger, half and half cracker? Does that mean you can say both? I know there's a Canadian guy called Russell Peters, who I think is really funny. He's a great guy. And apparently his parents were Indian, from India. And he gets away with everything. I mean, his stand-up, he stands there, and I love him. I think he's really funny, you know. But he gets away with everything because he's Indian. and he can, and then that allows him somehow, because his skin is black, it allows him to say stuff about Asian people as well that I think a cracker couldn't get away with. So it's really quite baffling. It really is quite baffling to try and understand who is allowed to say these words and who is not allowed to say these words. It's quite a confusing situation. I don't really get it. So I get it enough to know that I can probably get away with saying cracker, and to know that if I want to say the word nigger, that I have to get one of these other guys to say it for me, and then it's okay, right? Apparently. And there's no way I can get in trouble for this video, because all over YouTube we've got those Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, rappers, everybody else all saying the word. So there's nothing in this video that isn't, or in this video you're watching, that isn't already all over YouTube. In fact, those guys saying that word that I've been using are also all over YouTube, so no problemo. So anyway, guys, what do you think? What do you think? Are these bad words or not? If they're not bad words, then we should all be able to say them, right? You know, why is it that a black rapper can say nigger and a white rapper can't? That's strange. You know, why is that? So, So yeah, and I'm just going to say, I'll just add right at the end of this, that I don't, as I said at the beginning, if a word's offensive to particular group of people, then we shouldn't use it. And the only reason I made this video in the style that I made it was to make the point that I can't say that word, but I can show another person saying that word, and that's okay. Which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Why? What? Try to explain that 100 years ago, or in another 100 years' time, and I think people would be baffled. It's this particular weird time that we're living in now. 100 years from now, they'll say, "What are you talking about? How can it be okay for half the population to say a word and the other half the population not to say the word? What's with that? What's with that?" And it must be really baffling for people that are half. Can I say it or can't I? How dark is my skin? I mean, and is that another thing? If one parent happens to be black or white, but it's got to go on skin colour, has it? You know, excuse me, my father's white, so I can say cracker, okay? But if my skin's black, it's going to be a problem, isn't it? So is it a skin tone thing? How do you decide if you're allowed to say the word or not? And the media seems to, you know, it seems to be clear cut to the media that he's allowed to say it. So these guys get up and say it in the stand-up comedy and on TV and anywhere they want to and get away with it. But those guys say it and it's big drama, and they've got to resign their jobs and make public apologies on TV and all sorts of shit. So anyway, what do you guys think? More videos coming soon.